All right, let's do this. Let's do this. You guys ready for this? You guys stoked? What's up, Flustered Floof? Okay, let's do this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video from me, Super Rad. This is live right now. You probably don't know that. VODers are watching this. Chat's here. What's up, chat? Say hello to YouTube. Today we are doing it's been a while. We are going to look at and we are going to rank, and how this is going to work is each rank is going to be ordered. For example, if we put Monster Hunter, the original, into Rad tier, and we put Freedom Unite ahead of it, or this is just Freedom, that would mean Freedom is a better game, in my opinion, than Monster Hunter specifically, but they're both considered the same tier. Both are rad, but Freedom is better than Monster Hunter. So that's kind of how that works. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna do it in order, okay? I'm gonna do each game in order based on this ordering I put on the screen up here, okay? It's basically based on release for the most part, so and generation. So Monster Hunter and G, followed by Freedom, because those are all Generation 1. Then Monster Hunter DOS, Freedom 2, Freedom Unite. Then Monster Hunter Tri, Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, Monster Hunter 4, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, Generations, Double Cross, or Generations Ultimate. So Monster Hunter 1. Let's think about this. We'll discuss it a little bit. Monster Hunter 1 is by far one of the worst Monster Hunter games out there. I think we can all agree with that. It started the series. It has its merit, right? It is what brought Monster Hunter into the world. Thank you for the follow, Samu. The hitboxes, the gameplay, the quality of life features or lack thereof, and the right analog stick control scheme. You have to consider these the way that they were. And this game had the right analog stick controls. Like Freedom, all the PSP games had like the claw grip controls, but this had analog stick controls. Arguably might technically be better, but then PSP maybe not. I don't think so. So not a great game overall. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in cringe tier. I don't think it's an awful game. I think you have to give it its merit as the creation, like as the catalyst for Monster Hunter. If you know what I mean. Works with Ape Escape, not with... Doesn't Ape Escape have right analog stick, like, attacks? Yeah, the other games grew for it, so it would naturally be lower. But even if the other games grew from it, I think Monster Hunter specifically is just very, very bad, like, gameplay-wise. If you go back to it, you're like, wow, this was, I don't know... The concept is so good that I looked past how bad this game is, almost. And for that reason, we're going to put Monster Hunter G up there as well. Monster Hunter G is slightly better than Monster Hunter. It has, additional monsters. It has Azure Rathalos, the flagship for G. It has some additional monsters and subspecies and stuff like that. But overall, it's not great. It's not great. Yeah, Rage Gaming played through it recently, Monster Hunter. They're playing through Freedom Unite now, just like we did. These are just not good experiences. They're not awful experiences, but they're not good experiences. So those are easy. Those are easy to place, in my opinion. I think that makes sense, and I think the next one's pretty easy to place as well. I think it's very easy to place Freedom in the based tier. I think the portable games have a lot of merit. I think that they're good games. Okay. I like you do have to play with the claw grip. Unfortunately, this is assuming that you have to play with the claw grip. When we play on emulator, it's different. We have right analog stick controls. It's whatever. But Freedom is like the start of like where Monster Hunter got good. Okay, like Monster Hunter was getting good here. Okay, I think it goes there. You get the portable style gameplay, the claw grip. You don't have to worry about right analog stick attacking. And you can play it on the go. I think it was just overall the best experience at the time. It was considered an upgrade for Monster Hunter G. I think it had the G content in it. It's still in Kokoto. Overall, just a good game. Just a good game, a based game. Got to spend 3 hours on DOS, then put it in Rad tier. So here's the thing: I have played DOS a little bit, but not enough to have like a huge opinion on it. This game never came to America. There are ways to play it now. There are even fan translations in order to play it, but I'm pretty sure it was still using right analog stick controls at this point, and it has the seasons system, which I actually don't think was a benefit to the series and was one of the things that never showed up again. But it did introduce Kushala, so I really have to knock it into at least cringe tier for that, because Kushala is like just such an atrocious fight, such an awful fight, and in my opinion has probably never been fun except for maybe Freedom Unite and maybe Rise. A lot of people like Kushala and Rise. I think it has a lot of character. Jumbo Village is really cool. It really started to like kind of make a little more of a storyline apparent to the game, but not so much. And it tried to do more in terms of your upkeep and stuff like that, your preparation and your upkeep, like the seasons and Jumbo Village and the stuff that you could do there and stuff like that. So I think it's in cringe tier, and I think it would be above MHG, but I'm not sure. What do you guys think? But I would be willing to move it up below MHG, so like this. It's better than Monster Hunter, but it's not better than Monster Hunter G. Monster Hunter G also had a Wii U, or not a Wii U, but a Wii port and re-release, so the controls were technically better in Monster Hunter G. So I think that puts Monster Hunter G ahead of DOS because of its Wii port. How do you guys feel about that? I think that also helps put Freedom up here, because I don't know about Freedom, but I know you can play Freedom Unite on the Vita. I think you can play any PSP Monster Hunter on the Vita. And at that point, you do have a right analog stick. So if we consider it like that, if we consider like it's not technically the original hardware, but it did get re-released on official hardware, I think it counts. Keep in mind, we haven't watched Jacob's DOS video yet. We will watch that at some point. Jacob, if you're watching this, I need you to give me permission to react to it live on stream. And we're going to move on from there. So we're going to talk about Freedom 2 now. Now, Freedom 2 and Freedom Unite are I think the only portable games until the portable team games until Generations that actually did like a normal like high rank release and a G rank release. I think it's very easy to put this up into alpha. I think you could put Freedom 2 into alpha. It's a solid game. By this point in this series, while the janky hitboxes and stuff were still there, we had a decent amount of monsters. We had the introduction of Tigrex, and we had Poke Village, which is just iconic. Everybody knows Poke Village. You can't say everybody knows Jumbo Village, right? And you can't even say everybody knows Mineguard Town or Kokoto, I would say. Like I feel like a lot of players now would not know what Kokoto is. Unfortunately, I guess they would. I think it's in Gen, so I guess they would know what Kokoto is. But I think Poke Village was just one of the most iconic villages. I think Tigrex is an iconic monster. I actually think its original fights were more fun than its new modern fights. We're gonna move Freedom Unite up to the rad tier. I think that should be obvious to you guys. I was obviously like I had the retrospective released. I released the Freedom Unite retrospective, and I pretty much just gushed. I criticized this game heavily. Like for pretty much the entirety of that 1 hour video, I was like heavily criticizing Freedom Unite for like some of its detrimental aspects, but I still was so impressed with what it actually delivered, because you're basically getting Freedom 2 with G rank, and not only that, but you're also getting the introduction of Nargacuga, which is one of my favorite monsters, and I guess the introduction of Eucanalos, which is not one of my favorite monsters, but and not even an Elder Dragon. But I still think a very unique fight that people learned to appreciate in 4. Was it 4 or Gen that he was in? But the weapon designs, the fights themselves, you still have Poke Village. It just did a lot right. Yeah, and I think you can still play Freedom Unite on the iOS, and I don't have a comment on the iOS control scheme. I've never tried it, but it is there. It is there. So you can give that a try. Playing since Monster Hunter Freedom 1 and World and Rise are my favorites so far. Fight me. You know, that's totally fair, Trust. That's totally fair. Okay, so Monster Hunter Tri. Now, if you know my buddy Flyan, he loves Monster Hunter Tri. He loves it more than 3 Ultimate. The AI is apparently slightly different in that game. And it has a more desaturated color palette. And it was the introduction of water combat. But it did a lot wrong. It locked away certain weapons for no reason, and I think that was really silly to do in a Monster Hunter game where it's more about freedom of selection. To make you unlock weapons specifically is really weird. It had the most unique but limiting roster, and it also, a lot of people don't like water combat. I don't mind water combat too much. I don't think it should come back, but I don't mind it. It did introduce Legaia Cruise, and it did have Locklack City, which was a really cool concept on the hub. It was very reminiscent of Mineguard Town. However, to progress in this game, you had to HR grind, and you had to HR grind a lot, I'm pretty sure. I think that's actually what Flyan's doing right now that Locklack is accessible again. But I don't think so. I think Tri is based, or Alpha, sorry. I think it's Alpha, and it's ahead of Freedom 2, okay? But like, hold on. Because we'll come back to Tri when we talk about 3 Ultimate. Portable Third is easily one of the best PSP entries. I am like scared to put it into Rad. I can't tell if it's Rad. I can't tell if it's better than Freedom Unite. But I remember when we streamed it, we had such a good time. Yakumo Village is like a very, very iconic village that I don't think a lot of people know about. I guess they do now because of Gen. The hot springs mechanic that they introduced for instead of having a canteen was very interesting. It also brought back the farm, but it doesn't have G rank. It was the inclusion of Zinogre, but it doesn't have G rank, and it's either there or it's like the top of Alpha. It's either that. It's either or. It's hard to tell. It's a toss up for me right now. Arzuros is in that game. I think Arzuros was introduced in Portable Third and then was one of the first monsters you fight in 3 Ultimate. If it had a G rank, it would be far better. If it had G rank, it would be above Freedom Unite for sure. Absolutely. There'd be so much more content. It was a great village. It had the farm that everybody loves. It had one of the best renditions of Longsword. I did praise Freedom Unite for having a simplistic longsword that is very easy to use without having to worry about Spirit Gauge, but I do personally prefer Spirit Gauge, so it does have that going for it. Okay, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. So we put Tri in Alpha, the top of Alpha currently, and I think that's fair, but in my opinion, 3 Ultimate is the better game. Not only are you getting the G rank extra content, and unfortunately losing Locklack is a detrimental factor to it. Port Tanzia is great, but Locklack had a lot more going for it. It had like kind of an explorable city. You had your own room that you could upgrade. You didn't just live in the Moga Village hut, you know, or on the ship in Port Tanzia. But 3U, in my opinion, it had a better color palette. I did prefer the saturated color palette. It had everything unlocked from the get-go. It got rid of I know a lot of people talk about medium bowgun in a positive light, but it got rid of the bowgun customization mechanic, which really wasn't necessary. Just light and heavy is fine. 3U was a very pretty game. So many more monsters. It introduced Brachydios. It introduced Slime, which is now Blast, but is a very like prevalent mechanic or ailment within the game, used on a lot of weapons. I just think overall it was just so much better. Like just such a great game. It does have the plus 50 defense boost or whatever that people will tell you, and apparently the AI is different. So arguably it's said that it is an easier game, but I think the inclusion of G rank offsets that, because we soloed it, and like Metal Wraths were pretty difficult, and Dire Morales is just like an awful fight. Like the one thing that's really not good about this entry is Dire Morales, because it is an atrociously designed fight for such a cool monster. It's a very bad fight. But Cedius is a great fight. Legaia Cruise is a great fight, and something that Tri and Portable Third and 3 Ultimate have going for them is you can fight Gen Moran in these games, and that was like the best siege to ever be introduced in this series to this day. So for that reason, it is going up into Rad tier above everything else. Yeah, Cedius was in Tri. Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just like bringing it all up. Gen is just such a good fight, man. Yeah, absolutely. Gen is like, people are always like, a lot of people hate sieges just in general, but I think Gen did everything right. I think it did everything right. Very unique, very interactive. There's a lot going on that allows you to manipulate the monster to stop it from doing things rather than just watching it walk away from you. You know, it did a lot right. And I think 4U built upon that a little bit because they had Darren Moran and they had Dalamadur and stuff like that. Okay, Monster Hunter 4. There isn't a lot to say about Monster Hunter 4, unfortunately. You're getting the. This is when storylines really started to become prevalent within Monster Hunter, or their first attempt at like a really like a big storyline. Not too many cutscenes. It was the introduction of Gore Magala, which is just insane. Like a very iconic monster for a lot of people. So many people want Gore Magala back in Sunbreak. The Frenzy Virus was this amazing ailment system that they created that really promoted you being aggressive and dealing a lot of damage to the monster in order to get its buff, but could be detrimental if you weren't careful. And I think that was just such a great system. It also introduced mounting, and I actually really like mounting in the games. And it just made the game more mobile without taking away the essence of what old school Monster Hunter was. Like, everything feels old school in Monster Hunter 4, but it's just more mobile. And like, I feel like they did a great job with that. It also has a great palette. It has great weapon designs. I think 4 just suffers from what Tri does. I feel like it's like this, you know, Tri and 4. I would put Tri above 4 just because like nostalgia for me. And no, I wouldn't. I would put 4 above just because Tri did a lot of things wrong in my opinion with like the weapon unlocking and stuff like that. I really didn't like that. So I'm gonna put 4 above Tri, but I'm gonna put 3 Ultimate in like its own like above both of them in that tier. And Seregios is just such a cool. It was always such a cool monster to me. I love Seregios' armor set. I love its mechanic. 4U was just really like the game where they wanted to test out as many mechanics as possible. You know, it was crazy. Yeah, Steve, iconic. We had the Gore Magala Frenzy mechanic. We had Seregios, the sharpening mechanic. It introduced bleed. What else did they have? I guess they had the guild hunts. I'm sure those were in 4, but like I don't have an opinion on guild hunts too much. I actually didn't like guild hunts and like participating in them. One of the things that sucked for 4U, and I don't know if this was in 4, was the randomized weapon system that you kind of start to see in endgame, where like through doing guild quests or whatever, you unlock really powerful weapons with varying attributes. I thought that was like a really dumb mechanic. Not really what Monster Hunter is about. Monster Hunter is more about getting the randomization is the items that you get, and then you make the thing that you want, which I think is a much better system. And we have randomization and charms, right? So where's Final Fantasy 14? 14 should be on this list, right? Because you can fight Rathalos in 14. I would put that in Rad tier. That's one of my favorite games. But yeah, 4U would definitely be up here. I think 4U goes. I liked Freedom Unite better. So I think it's a rad game, but it goes above Portable Third, but it's under Freedom Unite for me. I think it deserves a remaster. I think I would have a much better experience playing 4U if it was on the Switch. You know, I really feel like it would be better because like currently the only way that I can play it regularly is to emulate it, and emulating it's just a little bit of a mess. It doesn't feel so. You know, the emulating's fine. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about there's a comfort that comes in playing a game on intended hardware, if that makes sense to you guys. Like if I'm playing a Game Boy Advanced game on a Game Boy, I feel more comfortable than when I'm playing it on my PC on Visual Boy Advanced or whatever GBA emulator you use. Does that make sense? Generations, I originally played it on a modded 3DS in Japanese so that I could actually play it, because it didn't come out right away in America, I don't think. It was either that or Double Cross. I can't remember, because Double Cross came out on the 3DS and then it came out on the Switch. You know, so I really liked Generations. The worst part about Generations is how many quests they put in it, which sounds weird because they have a lot of monsters, and having a lot of monsters is fine, but like they just pump it full of quests, like just too many. Like it feels bloated. You could have a lot of monsters, don't get me wrong, but just the amount of quests is insane. And that felt weird to me. What did it introduce? It introduced Nakarkos, which was a very unique fight. I don't think we've seen Nakarkos since this, except in Double Cross. And it introduced Hunter arts and styles. And this was like... This was like as far as they could push old school Monster Hunter almost, it felt like. I'm sure they could do more, but like it feels like... It feels like this is as far as they could push Monster Hunter within the old school environment. It's, you know, not everybody likes hunter arts and styles. They're kind of, unfortunately, what am I trying to say here? I like hunter arts and styles, but they do feel a little overpowered sometimes, depending on what you're playing. And then I'll put Double Cross. You know, Double Cross added G rank. It had Altal Ka. It had. I should talk about both of these games have deviants. Double Cross had more deviants. The deviant system in itself is really cool, but unfortunately led to this culture in lobbies of doing rotational fights for deviants. So like you end up fighting like, and I don't think if you fight their deviant, it counts for leveling up your deviant, which is a huge issue for me. Unfortunately, you guys think it'd be rad tier? I think it's alpha tier. Honestly, it does have Valstrax. Valstrax was a really cool monster, and it had hypers, and a lot of people don't like hypers, and I totally understand why. They are just stronger monsters with like a very minimal additional mechanic of attacking their weak points or those special points in order to up your hunter gauge, right? Altalka was a great fight. It was a celebration of Monster Hunter. I can't tell. A lot of you were saying rad tier, and I mean, I guess I put Portable Third up there. I think it would be like right here. Maybe, yeah. I think like right here. It's either here or here, right? If I put it here, it's the top of alpha. But if I put it here, it's like here. I think. I think 4U is better too. I think 4U was just more concise, more condensed, and it was like a journey, and it had a lot going for it. Yeah. Okay, so that's right. Okay. It's funny how many games are like considered like really good games. It's okay. So a lot of people think I hate World. That's the joke, right? I hate World. I hate World. Blah blah blah. But I don't. I think it's a good game. I think graphically it's fantastic. It is muddied in its color scheme, and I am somebody, as we've seen with 3 Ultimate, somebody that prefers the more saturated look of Monster Hunter. But World is just such a boring game in the first half of it. I would say Iceborne definitely improves on certain things. Astera is by far the worst hub we have ever received, right? I think we can agree with that, right? Like Astera is just arguably the worst hub area we have ever been in. Just phenomenally awful. And before this game was on PC, the loading times just to fast travel between Astera was insane. It was crazy. It also has the Ancient Forest, which I think is the worst map to ever be designed in any Monster Hunter game ever. It completely changes the battle system. It adds things to weapons that makes them not feel at all like their old school counterparts. And that could be for better or worse, depending on your opinion. In my opinion, it's for the worse. Though I think Hunting Horn has been a lot of fun. But it has the worst weapon designs in the game. It had the worst weapon designs in the game. They weren't even going to put Poogie in it. And they had to add him in a day 1 patch because people were pissed off. It has, hit effects suck. Breaks suck in that game. What else? I did not like the delivery system. I don't like... what do I like? What do I like about it? For what Longsword is in this game, even though it's not like old school Longsword, I do like using it. I do think it's fun. It's a zany weapon to use. I think Hunting Horn's fun. I think the mantle system is very interesting. I think the mounting system isn't as good as old school, but good for a new school environment. I think the Clutch Claw sucked, but that's for Iceborne. We can't talk about that right now. I think the assignments were an interesting decision to try. I think going back to Key Quests and Rise was the right call, but I understand why they were trying assignments because this game was so laser focused on its storyline. I did like the storyline somewhat, even though it kind of is just very boring. It was at least interesting to some degree. God, it had some cool event quests. It had a Final Fantasy event quest where you could fight Behemoth and get the Dragoon armor. That was sick. It let you fight the giant Kuluyaku. It let you do the Witcher thing, which nobody liked because fighting Leshen sucks. It did introduce hub scaling, which I hate. I hate hub scaling. It introduced a way more aggressive playstyle than we were used to in old school. It introduced the camp in maps, which I hate because it basically means you don't have to prepare at all anymore. You can even eat at your camp. It completely changes the heart of the game. It did have turf wars. Turf wars were a great introduction. Turf wars were amazing. It introduced damage numbers, which I personally like. It's one of those don't like it, don't use it things, and I use it because it's there, you know. But I don't think they should have done that. I don't think they should have had damage numbers. I'm a big advocate of never having damage numbers. Doesn't make sense. We can't see their health. We shouldn't see the damage numbers, in my opinion. And yeah, it introduced backwards roll. That's an interesting one. Doesn't it have like omnidirectional rolls? Like, can't you roll in all directions now or something like that? Yeah, I don't know. I really don't have like the best time playing it. I've been enjoying it lately with Hunting Horn. I think it's here. I think it's cringe. Wait, what happened there? I think it's cringe. I think it's like the top of cringe. People are calling Ancient Leshen like it's a big deal against the game. Well, I know, yeah. Like I'm not really like holding Ancient Leshen to this. Like I wouldn't worry about it too much. But I do think it's cringe tier. I do think it's cringe tier. But hold on. Give me 1 second, okay? Like, hold on. Because despite all of the faults of Clutch Claw, despite all the... I don't know if anything will go in Poo Poo Baby. I said I don't think it'll happen. Despite all the faults of Clutch Claw, I do think Iceborne improved on so much within World in terms of, like, weapon mechanics, a better hub area, a better cast of monsters. It had G rank, and we started to see some better weapon designs in it that I think it would go up into based and like here or here, but I'm not sure where. It had a better storyline, at least, kind of. They're kind of the same storyline, just done twice. Rotating event quests still suck. You still get just one shot in timed events and sieges, but they did improve everything Clutch Claw side. They improved everything, and it has Fatalis, and it has Alatreon, which are like two big bonuses for me. It's better than Gen, but not Gen U. Okay, so we'll put it here. I literally think World is cringe, and then I'll put Iceborne up in based. I think every tier list is subjective, Frost, but based on my opinions and the discussion with you guys. But I mean, I'm gonna tell people it's objective to piss them off. Iceborne has Celiana. Celiana is a good hub. Celiana is a good hub with a good theme. Yeah, Fatalis has the original Proof of a Hero, yeah. You'll acting like you didn't enjoy World when it released. Millions of new players, laid back farming while talking new friends. Can't be cringe in my opinion. Can't get over it. I really didn't enjoy it. I remember, it's funny. I remember playing it. I played through all of it. I played through all of World, and I was like hanging out with like Flyan or something at my place. And I was playing through it, and we were just talking about it, and we were just like, we were playing it, and he's like, I can't remember what he said. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he was just like, he's like, yeah, this just isn't that good. It's not the same, you know? It's not the same. It doesn't have what like the other games were doing for us, and I was just like, yeah, like it's very easy to get tired of this game for whatever reason, and I don't want to like go into why that is necessarily, but it was just very easy to get tired of it. Guiding Lands also fucking sucks. Guiding Lands is ass, okay? Guiding Lands is terrible. Yeah, exactly, Hobie. And it's not like they're bad games though, right? Like it changed something that took a spark out of Monster Hunter for me. And that's all it is. Like, you guys can move these up on your own tier list, obviously, but for me, this just makes sense. Augmentations suck. Also, the Fatalis set sucks too, OP. That's another thing with World and Iceborne that kind of sucks, is that as event quests came out that progressed this storyline, those sets ended up being used almost unanimously to make the meta. Rise does that too, almost. As new stuff comes out, that stuff is almost always arguably better to use in your meta set, which is just annoying, you know? I don't know. I didn't like that. Yeah, from my perspective, this ranking makes sense. I would hope so. It's my ranking. I would hope so. Okay, so Rise. Oh my god. Because I don't know, originally what I really liked about Rise when it first released, and something I said in my review, was how I liked how it was trying to bring back some of the old school aspects of the games into the new school environment. If any game is closest to old school in Gen 5, it is Rise, despite like its main mechanics. It has some quality of life mechanics and just like general feel that makes it feel more old school than Iceborne does, and that is like a big bonus to me. But it's also an incredibly easy Monster Hunter game that you can kind of just blast through. And I don't think I've ever felt that way I don't think I've ever felt I could blast through a game faster than Monster Hunter Rise. Ever. Even like Portable Third took me forever, and that's also just high rank. But Rise is just like super fast. But like it has a lot going for it. It has amazing monster designs. Like Magna Malo is a fantastic flagship with a fantastic gimmick ailment. It has all the great weapon designs back, great armor designs back. It's running on the RE engines, so I assume it'll run really smooth on PC. I assume. It runs okay on the Switch. Could it be because the monsters are not as powerful as the hunters? I mean, like, conceptually they're not, because that's how they balanced it. What else do I like about it? It brought back GU mechanics, which was great. Bringing back silk binds, even if they're not balanced, like if people find them overpowered, bringing back GU mechanics is huge. Bringing back hunter arts is huge. I love that shit. They brought back the Rise Spirit Reckoning combo. That was so sick. That was so sick. I love that. The thing is, Iceborne, like, because you have to consider Iceborne as world plus G rank, and it just has so much more content. And a denser feel, and they are very comparable games despite their like major differences. Here, I think Rise goes there. I think so. But I could very easily put it here or here. Like I don't know. It's really hard for me. It's really hard for me to decide. So just know that like I'm not like super firm in my beliefs about this list completely, because a lot of the positions are very hard for me to place. Okay, so no, Stories is a great game. You can't compare it to the other games because it's a turn-based JRPG, but it had like some. It was very simplistic. Okay, like it had an okay story. I did like it a lot, but I honestly think it would just be like See, I don't want to add them because they're not Monster Hunter games. So I don't want to say Stories is better than MH4, right? I don't want to say Stories is better than MH4 because it's a different game, right? Like, how do I say this without? Okay, it's a 3DS game. It had a very basic battle system that isn't like super duper fun to play, but I did like collecting all the monsters. I liked collecting all the Poogies. I liked unlocking Great Poogie. I did enjoy the storyline. I enjoyed the final boss fight. I enjoyed doing the tower runs. It was all altogether a fun experience that I was really impressed by, and I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. And I played it on an Android emulator, which was the best way to play it in my opinion, because you can you don't have to deal with the 3D shit, and it just looks the best. So I think I'm gonna put it in like top alpha. It was a very solid JRPG for Monster Hunter. Like for their first foray into it, they did really well. But Stories 2 blew it out of the water. Stories 2 blew it out of the water, man. Like holy moly. Stories 2 was so good. It had like better graphics, it had better music, it had better characters, it had a better storyline, it had some really fucked up shit happening in it. Like it was crazy. It was crazy. And I just go nuts. It was so good, and they improved the battle system so much. Like you had battle buddies now. You had the ability to I think you couldn't swap weapons before, but now you can swap weapons, which was really cool. Could you do that before? I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think you could do that in Stories 1. But yeah, it's a very easy. It had some great monsters that you can unlock. It had an amazing end game. If you want like a really good, it had a better end game than Stories 1. I think like right there. Stories 2 was like fantastic. I like Freedom Unite better. Not that you can compare these, but I just like these games so much better than I like this game. But I like this game a lot. So it's rad for sure. We got to talk about Frontier. Now Frontier, I don't have a lot of experience with, but I have played it. I have played it in some capacity. I had to play it in order to get footage for my history series. So I like to say that while I am not a huge authority on the game, I think I've done enough research and put in enough game time that I am somewhat of an authority that I can express my opinion and kind of like explain some stuff to you guys about the game. At the start, Frontier was like very much just Monster Hunter Generation 2. It was Monster Hunter DOS. It's built off of the Monster Hunter DOS engine. It gets progressively crazier and crazier as it goes. It adds in tons of mechanics over time, as you would expect an MMO to do. Very grindy game, required a lot of preparation and stuff, but not in the way that you would expect from Monster Hunter. It required like days of preparation, getting ready for certain fights and stuff like that. And some of the fights were just like almost borderline unfair, though they did try to make the player's power scale to meet it. From what I experienced with it, it had some really cool and unique fights. I can't speak for every fight, but for example, what's the name of that electric crab? Tycoon Zamaza? Is that what it was? I think that's what it was. That was a fun fight. I really enjoyed that fight. You can see that Frontier did have old school aspects to it and had some really fun fights in it, even if some of them got insane. It also had some really cool maps in it. It had some amazing monster designs in it. And from like I spent months looking into these games, guys. Like I really did enjoy it a lot. I thought it was really cool. So I think Frontier goes like here for me. I think it's based, but it's at the very end of based, in my opinion. It's better than World, for sure. For sure. Absolutely better than World. But not better than Iceborne, I don't think. I don't know. It's not better than Freedom, I know that, so that's where I'm going to put it. Well, is it better than Freedom? It's like all the dose content plus like 10 times more, but with just like so many additional mechanics and stuff like that. It did suffer from power creep. That was its main issue, is that it suffered from power creep. It has so much. You know what? I'll put it here. I'll put it there. I think it's better than Freedom just based on content alone, even if you don't necessarily like the mechanics. I'm sorry, World's in cringe, guys. At least Iceborne's in based. At least Iceborne's in based. It's not like I threw all of World out the window. I think it's really cool. We'll talk about I first. I think I is really awesome. It was such a cool concept. There's so much to do on a friggin' mobile flip phone game, but like the controls are just absolutely atrocious. It is not a good game. So it would be disingenuous of me to not put it like right here or maybe here, but like it would be disingenuous to not put it there. It's a really bad game. Like as fun as it was to like get it and cover it and stuff like that, it's a really bad game. Like it's not good. But I'm putting it in cringe because it has the novelty. It's cool. It's a cool concept, but it's a bad game, so it's in cringe. That's the place safe for online. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to put online here. It's just a Chinese MMO that was so bad and unsuccessful that they had to cancel it almost immediately. All right, so I think it's very easy to put online there. The cool thing about dynamic hunting, in my opinion, was like some of the event quests that I saw people playing. Was it this one that had them, or I think that might have been Explorer actually. Dynamic hunting was like a touch-based like iPod game that you would play like on your iPod Touch. It was very bare bones in its mechanics and stuff like that. You would like tap a button in order to like do your attacks and stuff like that. And I think you could slide to attack. And I think the monster's always in like kind of like the center of the screen or something. I think that's fine. It'd be here or here. Like, I don't know. Some of you guys have played it, right? World Below. I know, like even I wasn't sure about putting World Below Rise, but I'm replaying through Rise right now and I prefer it. I prefer it. It's just better to play than World. Okay, so this one here is apparently Phantom Island Voyage. I have never heard of that. That's probably going in Poo Poo Baby Game. Phantom Island Voyage. Yeah, that's it. It looks like a Puzzle Dragons game or something. Oh yeah, look, it's Poo Poo. That's Poo Poo. I'm putting that there. FromSoft developed it? What? Really? No way. Hold on. Monhun Diary, general genre, social Iraifu. It looks cute. It actually looks like it'd be like a fun little game to play, like casually, like Pocket Camp or something. A cell phone game in Japan which saw released on August 10th, 2010. It is free to play. It is free to play and only requires a registration with Mobage Town. Oh, is it a Mobage? Is it a gacha? Although there is no cost to play, there are items which require purchasing. The game is a type of social networking, using Irus to build a village, collect items, and make friends. Okay, that's poo-poo. Poo-poo garbage. The Dark Souls of MH. Oh, here, I'll move it up here. There. I can't believe Explorer's not on this list. I'm pissed. All right, I think that's it. I think we've done this list now, right? Right? That's it. Let's go through it in order, okay? In rad tier, we'll start at the bottom. In Poo Poo Baby Game tier, we have Diary Palico Village Explore Chan, followed by underneath it we got Monster Hunter Online, Chinese MMO. We have Dynamic Hunting for the iPod Touch, which had something going for it maybe. Explore would be in here probably. We don't have Explore on this list for some reason. It is actually cool. I think it would be in the cringe tier. Diarrhea, Palico Exploding 4chan. Yes, exactly. The Yotsuba game. We have, what was that one? The weird island adventure game and an arcade game. Those are all in Poo Poo Baby Game tier, okay? And we are missing Explore and Riders. I am sorry about that. It wasn't on the list for some reason. I would add them if I could. In cringe tier, here, I'll go from the back over. We have Monster Hunter I, a really cool concept on a flip phone. It is probably the most Monster Hunter mobile game, next to maybe Explore, I'm not sure. But it is awful. Followed by Monster Hunter, the original release, had its merits, but it's just such a bad game. Monster Hunter DOS, just an improvement on Monster Hunter, but like still not a great game. Monster Hunter G, due to its Wii release, we moved it up a bit just because it has like the Wii controls. It's a little bit better in my opinion. And then we followed that up with Monster Hunter World, which just took a huge fat dookie on everything Monster Hunter had built up to that point. Unfortunately, it did a lot well, but it was just such a rough start. And I get it. I get that it appealed to so many people that wanted to play what they tried to appeal to, and that's great, but it wasn't great to me. And I do like World, but it's not that great. It's not that great. And it got improved later. Except for Clutch Claw. If you're watching this and you're gonna be mad at me, except for Clutch Claw. I know Clutch Claw is bad. I don't like Clutch Claw. So in the base tier, we got Monster Hunter Freedom. Great portable entry. Great game, fun game. Frontier G, so much going for it. Like, not Frontier G, but like all of Frontier. You're a boomer, Crunchy. How dare you? You got Frontier G. We got Frontier. It had so much content. It is an old school experience, but pumped up to 11. It's silly, it's crazy, and it has its merits just for being an MMO. There's stuff that it kind of gets leeway with because it's not your traditional Monster Hunter experience, and it's not trying to be because it's an MMO. Monster Hunter World is a mainline game, it's supposed to be your traditional Monster Hunter experience, and it's not. Monster Hunter Generations, great kind of end of the series, just was missing G-Rank and some like G-Rank features and stuff, like Valor and stuff like that. And then Iceborne, fixed a lot of World's problems. Unfortunately, it added Clutch Claw and Guiding Lands, but a lot of the fights were great. A lot of improvements on certain weapons, like I'm pretty sure Hunting Horn's a better weapon in Iceborne than it is in Base World, I think. And then, Longsword got some additions and stuff like that. You think putting base Rise above fully updated Iceborne is very cringe? What if we did this? Would this be more accepting to like the general audience? Or would you like it like this? Would that be better? Still bad. For Rise to Iceborne. I'm gonna stick with my original then. I'm gonna stick with my original. Sorry guys. Sorry. Tell you what, how about I do this? How about I do that? Is that better? We all good? Okay. That's a good balancing act I think we pulled off there. Okay, so Based ends with Generations. And then at the start of Alpha, we have Iceborne, okay? Iceborne fixed a lot. It fixed the hub. It added cool new monsters. It brought back Fatalis. It brought back Alatreon. I don't like that Alatreon design too much, but they brought him back. I gotta give them that. I gotta give it to him. And a lot of people like Safi'jiiva. I don't like Safi'jiiva too much. A lot of people like it, and I guess there's like merit to that. But I think Rise is just a better game overall, even in its base form. But you have to consider, I'm talking about Rise like after 3.0, okay? And I know like even then, it just has less content than all of Iceborne and shit, like World and Iceborne. But like I'm talking like the fully developed Rise with all the event quests and everything like that. Just there's a lot to do in that game. The one thing that they could really like do to improve it would have been to add like Apex armors and like more armors and stuff like that. Safi is too much of a generic dragon. Bram H, send his ass back to Dragon's Dogma. Yo, facts. It's a base game. It is a base game. You got to consider that. Now, Monster Hunter Freedom 2. Amazing entry in the series. One of the best entries in the series, except it's not Freedom Unite. That's literally it. Try, one of my favorite games. Unfortunately, it's just lacking things that other games have like added after the fact to put it into rad tier. Monster Hunter 4 is kind of in the same boat, but it has more to offer than Try specifically, so it gets moved up. And then Stories 2 is an alpha game, but you can't compare it to the rest of the entries here because it is not a Monster Hunter game. It is a Monster Hunter JRPG. You know, completely different. It's a turn-based game, guys. So like, don't look at that list and be like, why is it above Monster Hunter 4? It kind of stands on its own. A little bit. And then going into the final tier, the rad tier. We're here. Here we go, okay? Monster Hunter Double Cross. A great entry. A send-off to old school. I will stream Dragon's Dogma at some point, yes. I haven't done it yet. Maybe we'll do it after the Iceborne playthrough. But yeah, we have Double Cross, okay? Great send-off to the series. Had a lot of cool, new, interesting mechanics. Just a little bit too crazy, in my opinion. Just a little bit. But it was just such a solid entry, and it had Valstrax, which is like a beloved monster at this point. Everybody loves Valstrax, I think. It was our introduction to Transmog, I believe. I think so, yes. I remember it being advertised on the back of the case that you could do Transmog. It's a weird system, but it is there. Portable Third, I just found to be like, honestly, all the PSP games just did so much so well, and Portable Third was just such a strong entry in the series. Akumo Village was great. Stories 2, a great, strong JRPG entry. Again, its placement doesn't really matter as long as it's in its proper tier, which I believe it is a rad tier. I think between the two, it is obviously an improvement on Stories and just a good JRPG in general, and they made the battle mechanics so much better. So it was just up there. Yeah, Portable Third had vibes for sure. It felt like a smooth game, chill game. For Ultimate, classic banger, adventure game. It's not even. You know, you're not just in Valhabar. You're adventuring. You're going out. You're solving crimes. You're Scooby-Dooing shit. You know, it's a great game. It felt great. A lot of progression. You love the characters that are in it, that are with you. You have like your whole team. It's amazing. And for you, just really like when they all come back together to do the G rank expansion. Oh, amazing! Felt so good to visit Dundorma again. Loved that. Scooby-Doo G-Star 5 quest, yes. And then Freedom Unite, just one of the strongest games in the series. Freedom Unite is absolutely one of the strongest games in the series. It's pumped full of content with a very methodical and simplistic gameplay style. Some of the toughest fights you will experience in Monster Hunter, but very rewarding and very doable. You can do it solo. Has all 3 fatalises. The 4U does as well. Honestly, I highly recommend trying it out if you haven't tried it yet. It's just such a strong entry in the series. A lot of grinding involved for materials and stuff like that because it's a slow game, but if it's just something that you want to play with friends, that'll really speed up the process. I played it solo, so it took much longer than it would be expected to. But yeah, great game, great entry in the series. Certified Hood Classic, 100%. And then we're gonna finish that off with Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Easily my favorite entry in this series. It has, in my opinion, the best color scheme. Some of the best new monsters. One of the best hub areas. I love Moga Village. I am, again, not even a big fan of water-based combat, but it wasn't detrimental enough to me to ruin the experience of everything else. Great weapon designs. I love Port Tanzia. I know it's not Locklack, but I love Port Tanzia. I love the Cedius fight. I love the Jen Moran fights. There's just so much. No, Maru, we don't have enough info on... These are kind of based off my experience, and I don't have enough experience with Dose to move it higher or lower. I think it's kind of just fine where it is. Because, like, how much of an improvement would you consider it off of, like, the original, you know? But yeah, 3 Ultimate, just my absolute favorite game, man. It's just so good. And like that's a little bit just like, you know, personal nostalgia. And also I just think the mechanics were at a really solid point in that entry, you know? It was also, again, the introduction of Brachydios, the introduction of Slime Element, which also led to the most powerful longsword in that game, the Pyro Demolisher. Such an amazing longsword. And if you like... It had Alatreon, and if you liked Dire Morales, it had Dire Morales. I wasn't a big Dire Morales fan. We should just pre-rank Sunbreak. Hard takes off of the 0 info we have. I would say Sunbreak's probably going to be in Alpha tier, right under Try. Sunbreak would be in Alpha tier right under Try. So above Freedom 2, but under Try. That's my spot. Yeah, that's mid Alpha. Yeah, exactly, Animorph. Good job. I meant for 3U. What did you mean for 3U? Name one bad new monster in 3U. I can't. Every single new monster they added. Uragon was great in that game, for God's sakes. Fucking Brachydios was great. Ivory Legaia Cruz. Abyssal Legaia Cruz. Golden Cedius. Name one bad monster. Gobel? Even Gobel is like decent. I know I express hate for Gobel. The Greats don't suck. Shut up, Kelly. No, absolutely not. The Greats are amazing. Roggy, Baggy, and Jaggy, they have so much character. The Greats have so much more character than Drones. It's atrocious. It's insane. It's crazy. It made you look differently on the franchise. I am not going to recommend it, but it is certainly different. I made sure it was the best, though, no doubt. Yo, let's go, Maru. Good taste, good taste, good taste. Yeah, Gobel. What the fuck? Wait, what did I say? Gobel. Drums are worse, but Greats are also... Wow, Kelly, I can't believe you're saying this. Gobel's fine. Neeble Snarf is fine. Great Macau is fine. That's a different game. Kuropeko was such a great entry, and it was an amazing experience. Devil Joe was introduced in Gen 3, guys. Like, Savage Devil Joe in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. I think Raging Brachydios was for you. Come on. Like, 3U had it all. 3U had it all. And like just like it had this like water mechanic that was experimental. And say what you will about the water mechanic if you don't like it, like even I don't like it, but at the very least you could hunt Plesioth without needing to bring sonic bombs. At least you could go into the water and chase after Plesioth. You did not have to worry about that, which is very nice. Oh, I like Devil Joe. I'm surprised Eneamorph, sorry. I always say that wrong. Anyway, that's the list. That's the list, everybody. Let's save and download it. Let's download that image. Gonna save it. I'll post it after I post the video probably, but just so I can like don't leak it. It's not a big deal if you do. No, I'm not going to tweet it until I make the video. I'll try to make the video tomorrow since I don't have to stream that day. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. To the people watching this on YouTube, I appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed watching me have bad opinions, though just know that they are objective fact. You know, I am the one in the YouTube video, therefore I have the authority to say that this is right and that you are wrong if you disagree with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. See, that's how I do it. That's how I film it.
上手に焼けました